Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome you to our webinar. I'm Michael and Trevor Toll, the Marketing Manager for Solution Systems Inc. Today we have customers and others attending this webinar, so just a bit about Solution Systems before we begin. We are located in Rolling Meadows, Illinois, and we have been in business for 35 years providing software, IT infrastructure, and web development to organizations in the Chicagoland area, as well as Wisconsin, Indiana, and the Midwest region. We are a Gold Certified Microsoft partner. We sell, implement, and support an ERP software called Microsoft Dynamics NAV. NAV is a business accounting software that is geared toward manufacturers, distributors, and service companies. We also sell, implement, and support CRM as well as outsource IT services to our customers. Today we are very fortunate to have Rick Baxter with us from Cost Control Software, and he will be conducting this overview. So I'm going to pass it over to him so we can get started with that.
Okay, the recorder has started. So again, hello and welcome. This is Rick Baxter with Cost Control Software coming to you live today. Or if you're watching the video recording, it was recorded on Wednesday, August the 13th at 1 o'clock sharp. We are going to cover the easy way to add visual drag and drop scheduling to your Dynamics NAV job system or job manager. We are going to be looking at a product called, here it is on page 2, go to page 2 of your study guide, Resource Planner. And this is a picture of the screen down here. Actually, that's an older picture, but it's pretty good representation of what we will be covering. And I'm going to show you how this gets generated. You probably can notice right here in the picture, quite frankly, that it is totally embedded right in your NAV software. That's one of the great advantages of this particular scheduling solution is it's right here in your NAV software. Now my goals for today is pretty simple. I certainly want to provide you a great software, not just good, but a great software presentation. I want you to really see the software in detail, almost to the point of learning the software. And then number 2 is if you decide you should pursue this further, I hope that number 3, you'll say yes and set an appointment for a private demonstration. So I can't show you everything about the software today, but I can show you enough that I think you will be able to, in the next 60 minutes, the next about an hour, decide whether this software should be considered for your company or not. So that is definitely my goal for today. Our agenda is pretty straightforward. I'm going to be doing a review of what I call daily procedures, how you use the software. I think that's one of the most important things. And then I'll kind of back up a little bit and talk about the planning board and a little orientation to the planning board information that's there. And also the third one, very important, is how to learn more about the software. So we're going to get started. We're going to first start with what I call my 4 key steps, 4 daily processes of how you actually use the software. And we're going to go into the software. I've got it loaded back here behind this screen. We're going to go there in just a second. So the first step is to add a new job, either manually or from a sales order or from a sales quote, but you've got to get a new job into the system. And then you've got to make sure that the status gets changed to order. Okay, so that's the first step. So let's just park this out of the way for a moment and make sure you know how to do that. So I'm going to go into my order jobs. This is my list of jobs. You can see I've got quite a few in the list here. I'm going to add a new one. So guess what? Now, I put a new one in because I really want you to see this from scratch. So it's important that you understand the process. I'm going to press Enter key. Brings up a list of the master jobs in my system. Now this may look a little different than what you have if you have the job system, but it should be somewhat close. I set up a job type. I like to have templates for the type of work that I do. In this case, I'm going to do an item job where I'm manufacturing a finished good. So I'm going to make an FG606 is the item I've got in my inventory. You'll be pleased I'm not using the bicycle here, and let's make 30 of them. So I'm going to say we're going to produce 30, and we want to have that job finished by, let's say, the end of September. So I simply say OK, and it will flash and whirl and make noises, and it's done. So immediately, the first thing that has happened, it went out and copied my template for the FG606. You can see that here in the task details. So you don't have to type in the operational steps: design work, foundry, CNC machining, grinding, shipping, materials. You'll have a list of tasks specific to your type of business. The one thing I do want to point out here, as I've got in the picture on page 3, is that when you change the status from normal status of planning, which is this job, you'll notice down here in this lower window, plan in resource planner. Right now, this job is not flagged to be planned. So what we said is that if we change the status to order, which means I can start posting to this job, then automatically the status of that job, didn't seem to do it, down here will get changed to plan in resource planner. So, and I'm going to write this job number down because I tend to forget these things. 5010-14. So this is my 14th sub-job in this group of jobs, which makes up my large project. I think in terms of project accounting, and I've got a whole webinar specifically designed to talk about the estimated costs of the job, the actual cost of the job. I'm not going to cover so much of that portion of it today. We're going to pretty much focus on the scheduling and how you do your scheduling of the of this particular job with those operational steps. In fact, let's just go into this choice. So I'm going to go into scheduling. I'm still on the first step here. These are the steps. Notice the steps have dates assigned to them, but I want to set them up so that we have what's called the previous job task. In this special screen, I've got this ability here to automatically generate predecessors. So I just click this option, and you'll see it fills in for me the predecessors of each of these steps. So it's 130, so the predecessor is 130. So pretty obvious. The lower window, let me just point this out while I'm here as well. The lower window is the details of the schedule. It's basically scheduled for 4 hours on this date of 9:30. And I want to point out that as of right now, there's no resources, specific resources assigned to this particular task on this job. So I'm on job 14, and there's no resources other than my general purpose kind of labor 30 resource. That's what I call my labor pool. But we're going to actually change that here in just a moment, because we're going to go ahead and schedule this job. So now my new job has been added on the list. So here's my 14 down here, and you can see I've done it before, but I think you'll get the idea. And it is the September 30th ending date and start date. It's a short duration job. Okay, so that's in there. Let's go back to the study guide. So that's really the first step, and I just wanted you to see that process. And so again, I'm just comment that this really isn't a class on job manager or jobs. It's really a class on the visual scheduling, so that's where I'm going to focus today. And if you do have questions on anything that you see as I cover this, always feel free to put in a question in the Q&A box, as some of you have already done, and others you can always email me as well. I'll put up my contact information at the end. Okay, so second step is we have to create activities, which we call stickers, on the planning board. Okay, so we go to the job planner section and create activities. So pretty simple little step here, number 2. So I'm going to go into my resource schedule, planner 1 resource planner choice. Okay, and it is going to probably go right to the planning board, but the job the job that I just created, that number 14, will not be on the planning board yet. So these are the other jobs, but I need to go into Job Planner and add that new one, okay, which is shown right here. So here is the 5010-14, and I want to create activities for that. So I just click Create Activities, and what it's done, it's created 4 activities, okay, on the planning board. Let's go take a look. So I'm going to go back here to my resource planner, and I think that was a September type job if I remember. So I'm going to go out here to end of September. Yeah, right about in here. It was a one-day job, so it wasn't really a very good choice. That's 1013. This one's 1014. It was a really one-day job, so it's very small. I'm in the month view. I might want to go to a week view, and then I can see more. Let's go to the next periods. Oh, September. Yeah, it's end of September. 14 is what I'm looking for here. Oh, and I bet it's on the labor pool, so it's down. Yeah, here it is right there, 14. So there's my job. It's all in this labor pool, and notice there's a red box around it. I'll talk about that maybe a little bit later on. That's really kind of detailed. But I just want you to get the concept of these jobs being moved and placed on the planning board. Let's just look at some of these others here. These are what we call the stickers. These stickers indicate each task. So each task, like this task, is punching holes, okay? This task is for the CNC machine, okay? And down the left side, I don't want to do too much orientation here, but down the left side is your specific resources. So you have groups of resources like designers. So Ben, Doug, and Rick, and Tom are all designers, and then we go down a little further. We've got installers, we've got foundry people, we've got, what else we got? And then some general labor categories. So quite a few. Now, by the way, I'm running on on a notebook computer, and it's fairly small screen. I realize that. You would run this on a very large, probably a 22 or 27 inch monitor to be able to really, when you go live, you want to have this on a big monitor, or if you put it out in the shop floor, it makes it easier for the technicians to see the operations if it's on a large screen. Okay, so we ran that choice. That was step number 2. So far, this should be fairly easy for you. I mean, in fact, let me pause right here and just ask a quick poll. And the way this works is you simply grab your mouse, and then and then you put the answer in the Q&A box. So so before I go further, type in the question box whether you're following what I'm showing you. Are you following this, or you're lost? You get it? It looks easy, looks cool. Let me know your first impressions about what you've seen so far of the software. So Matt says, looks good to me. Donna says, following. Good, appreciate it. So it looks like we're good so far. Any other comments? So we're not getting everybody. We've got 7 on the call. Appreciate you're all taking a little time. Looks good so far, Shane. Thank you very much. Okay, so that's step number 2. Let's go down to step number 3. Now, step 3 is probably the most important of the, well, there's 2 that are probably the most important. That you either approve the dates from the job planning lines, or you move the activities if needed. Remember, we talked about a visual drag and drop. So that's what is happening here. The plan on the screen is the scheduler's working plan until it is published. So NAV doesn't know of any of those changes until it's published. Your viewers will also not know of any changes until it's published. So this is a kind of a, you're in a what-if mode during this time. So viewers only see the published plan. I'm the scheduler. I'm logged in as the scheduler, so I see the most up-to-date schedule, and any changes that I make as well will go here. Okay, so let's make a couple changes, and let's see how this works. So the step number 3 is to be able to approve or move. So let's do that. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm looking at my scheduling board, and I'm the scheduler. I've got to put on my scheduling hat. And this is what you would do on a kind of a daily basis. You would come to actions. I'm not going to cover all the actions. I'm going to focus on the move action. Okay, there's a bunch of them here to close periods. I may come back to some of these, but we'll see how time goes. But I want you to understand the move function. The move function is that if I've got this particular task right now assigned to Ben, this is the design work, and I'm typically planning a week to 2 weeks in the future. So I'm not scheduling today. I'm scheduling, you know, maybe next week's work, not the work for today. But this design work, I want to switch from Ben down to Doug, and so I'm in Move. So I simply click, drag the activity, and reassign it to Doug. So just that quickly it has, and it did expand because it probably the calendar for Doug's calendar is a little bit maybe has fewer hours or something, and so the length of the sticker determines. So it looks like it's about the 14th, 15th when that should be completed. The white columns, by the way, are your working periods. Those are the hours. The grayed out area is the non-working periods, like weekends, okay, or night. So it's currently set up for a Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 open period in the shop. Of course, you can adjust your job schedule to be like 24 hours. So like Tom Johnson is set to be working, I don't know how he does it, but working 24 hours a day all through the week. So depending on how you've got that scheduled, or you might even see here, like on Doug, Thursday, looks like Thursday, maybe Fridays, doesn't work on Fridays. So you can literally control the schedule for each of the resources in the shop. So that was a move. I want to do a move on the one we put in as well. We put in that one out here is end of September. Let me go down to it. And I think I will do one little change. I will enlarge the activity so they're a little easier to see. And I'm looking for my 14. Here we go. So it's right here. So this is on labor. So what it looks like, almost everything was assigned just pretty much generically to labor, but I want to just move this particular activity for this job up to Mary Dempsey. Okay, so I'm going to reassign that particular activity, and also this one, labor 30. I'm going to put this, let's put this up here. Let's go up a little higher. We'll go here for Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Callan, we'll drop it in there. Okay, so it's, you see, you get the idea that I'm able to, and again, you're planning out in the future. So I'm moving these tasks, future tasks, to different reassignments. By the way, when you hover over a task, you see the little pop-up there that comes up. You can control what that information is. There's an option on the display here to, where is it? Right here. You can control the label of what shows in the label and the screen tips. So maybe we also want to show the, let's say, the job task. Where's my job task? Job description, activity description. Oh, my task description's there. Maybe I want the job description to show as well. And gives me just a little more information when I'm hovering over one of these things to see what the description is and what the task is. That's the design work and so forth, and who it's assigned to. I can also double click on an activity. That opens up a special dialog that allows me to actually reassign. So if I want to say, okay, I don't want this to be assigned to Mary, I want to assign this to, let's say, the install department, or maybe another specific person. Let's assign this to Ben. I just change it here and OK it, and it is then going to move the sticker up to, if we scroll up to Ben's row, you'll see it's right there. So a couple different ways that you can move these activities and make the different assignments. Okay, that's the design work. We've just assigned that to Ben, and we'll double check that with the publish. So let's just check our sequence here. So that's the concept of either approving it or moving it. And I moved it just from one technician to another. You can also do a horizontal move. I should mention that, so that you can come in and say, okay, well, I'm going to push this out a couple days and change the start date of that task. So it literally can move the individual task from person to person, or machine to machine, or from a given date. Okay, so there's several ways to move things around. Actually, there's more than that, but I just wanted to get you started with the concepts here. Okay, so let's go back to the study guide, and we've kind of reviewed that. And so now it's time for step number 4. Pretty simple. Okay, once you, the scheduler, are satisfied with the schedule, it's time to publish the plan to Dynamics NAV Jobs. So you go to the Planning tab and select Publish. It's right there. Okay, the question is, how frequently should you publish? Well, you can do it as often as you want. Typically, I'd say 1 or 2 times a day is enough. But if you have a lot of new jobs that come in, you may want to be able to come in on a more frequent basis and do those schedule changes. Let's see what happens. I want to follow this all the way through, and we'll move this out of the way. And so you go to the Planning tab. There's only 4 tabs. So I've got Planning, Display, Actions, which was where we had the move, and Filter, so that I could filter my list. Maybe I just want to see work done by my designers. I could filter that. I could actually add additional tabs here as well. But let's just stick with Planning. So I'm now wanting to publish this information. Remember, we changed this one here for Ben. So we have assigned Ben to this work. That's the job 5010-14 code 110. So let's go there. I'm going to publish. Watch on screen if this goes right. In the lower right-hand corner, it will come back and notify you that it has published and sent the data to your ERP software, which it's now done. Let's verify. It's very important as you're starting to use new software that you verify that things are actually doing what you expect them to do. So we're going to go back to our order jobs. Notice I'm doing this all right within NAV. By the way, I could have that on a tablet. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. Let's go back to our, open up this job 5010-14. That's the one we just added for these 30 FG606 items that we're producing. And what I'm going to go to is scheduling. This is our scheduling tab. And if I go to design work, you see initially it was assigned to labor 10. Okay, these 4 hours of design work was assigned to labor 10. But if I slide to the right, you'll see that the scheduler has basically scheduled Ben to do the work. The concept being that you've got 2 different departments working. You've got the estimating department, who really doesn't know who's going to do the work, just that there's about 4 hours to do. And then you've got the scheduling department that goes in and makes the finite decisions, I guess is what I would say. and makes assignments, and then when we publish, we write that data right back here into your NAV tables. Okay, so these are some of the improvements that Cost Control has embedded into your job system to be able to see all that scheduling data as well. And up top as well, up here, if I slide over, you can see it has, remember we changed the dates. Remember it was the end of September, and then I dragged the operation out to the right for the design work, and moved it to 10/6. That's what you saw down here as well. So it's the scheduling data that is then written out here to the different line items. Okay, so I think that should be reasonably clear. Let's just see if there was anything else I want to mention before we go on. Okay, yeah, I do want to cover that, but let me first ask a question again. Those are the 4 steps. I mean, that's it, guys. That's the 4 steps. So let me know in your Q&A, did I explain that okay? Do you think that's something that you would be able to do if you had this software installed on your computer? So the question on hand is, if you had the software installed on your computer, do you feel like you would be able to do those 4 steps, those basic 4 steps? Question about when you move. Okay, so Donna has a question about when to move. So, well, the scheduler makes the decisions about when to make the move. If the schedule is presented correctly from the estimator, if the estimator has estimated perfect dates, okay? So in your estimating process, so here within the jobs, you've got estimating, and the scheduler is creating these estimated begin dates and end dates, finish dates on each of the operations within your shop. That's what the scheduler is doing, the estimator is doing. Doesn't mean that's the way the scheduler thinks the shop's going to run. This is the early process, and then the schedule is the final process. So Matt says, yes, seems pretty straightforward. Shane says, very easy to work with. How could this work with multiple schedulers? Oh, great question. So if you had multiple schedulers, let's bring up the schedule board. So if I'm back here and I'm on the scheduling board, this is what you would do. There's a couple ways you could do this. You could apply some filters, and so maybe one scheduler schedules design people, so they could come in and apply a filter to show just designers. You could filter to designers, and that person only schedules the designers. Somebody else is going to schedule maybe the installers. So their view is just to see the people that are doing installers, and they do scheduling there. Now, if they need to cross over, so in this case, here's a machine. So if they can always open up the dialog and say, okay, I'm going to reassign this task from the grinding machine to maybe to the CNC machine, okay, CNC number 4 or something like that. So they can cross over by opening up the dialog and making those changes. Now, most of the time, you only have 1 or 2 schedulers who are really controlling the schedules. You might have 20 people that view the schedulers, view the schedule. So you often have a lot of viewers and only 1 or 2 schedulers. And it's different levels of security that control that as well. Okay. Okay, so I want to move on. We've got lots yet to show you. So the published results can be viewed at 3 different levels. So the first level is at the job level. So let's go take a look at that. So when I'm on a job, I'll show you a couple things here. So if I pull up this particular job, so I'm going to open up job 14, just happens to be my last job on the list. In the fact boxes on the right side, and I'm big on these NAV fact boxes. I really like the way they work, and I encourage you to add fact boxes to your system as well. This shows my estimated costs and totals, and down here further is my job actuals. So as this is a brand new job, so there's no actual cost yet. That's a whole different webinar. And then I have a scheduling fact box, which shows how many scheduled hours, the scheduled start date, and the scheduled end date of this job. These are all drillable, of course. So I could drill down. Well, can't. Has changed. Start your activity again. So let me see this. That's interesting. Somebody must be in my system. So I may be able to show you this drill. I may not. We'll find out. Okay. Oops. Opened it twice. So there is this scheduled, hold still, scheduled fact box. So for the job, it shows what the scheduled hours are, the scheduled start date, and the scheduled end date. Okay, right along with the rest of the information, your scheduled, your actual cost of the job, actual hours of the job, estimated hours, estimated cost, and total cost of the job. Okay, so that's one view of your job. I did open that twice. Okay, we also want to see it at the task level. So at the task level, we added 3 new fields: scheduled hours, scheduled start, and date. So not just a big picture, now we're getting down to the individual operations or tasks within your job. So let's go take a look at that. So if I go into my, I typically do this from my scheduling screen. So it's here on my scheduling screen where I can see now my scheduled hours for each of the operations, okay? The scheduled start dates, the scheduled finish dates, so I have a lot more detail than what the estimator put in. See, the estimator said it's going to be a one-day job, and we've done some rescheduling and it's been pushed out, and the latest finish is this 10/6 date for the job, which is what you saw back. That 10/6, it just picks up the latest date. That's this date here, 10/6. Okay, and then the third view is at the planning line. Okay, now if you don't understand planning lines, don't be alarmed. I mean, it takes a little while to kind of catch on to this concept of what a planning line is to begin with, but for every task, you have at least one or multiple planning lines. And a planning line has a planning date assigned to it, but what Cost Control has added in is the scheduled hours and scheduled start date and scheduled end date of the planning lines, as well as, I guess I didn't mention it there, who is specifically assigned to do that task. So you can actually have specific allocations of employees to specific tasks within each job. Okay, so that's kind of the, let's close that. That's kind of the three levels. And okay, so that's that. And you can generate reports. Oh yeah, the reports, I should have mentioned that. That for each resource, if we go to the resources here, so I'll just go to my labor resources and pick on Ben here, that you have this job task list. So you can just see, so we don't have anything assigned to him, I guess not. Thought we did. So Linda, I'm not seeing anything assigned to these people. See if I've got something assigned to myself. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to clear the filter, and then you would, okay, it's all assigned to Paul Jones, I guess is what it is. So it is, this is where you can see what resources and the specific loads and the number of hours that are assigned to those individual people. I want to try it one more time. Hold on. Okay, well, didn't do quite what I expected, but that's okay. All right, time to get into the planning board. I want to do a little more explaining what this planning board is all about, because there's a lot of information on here, and I want you to know how to read the planning board and read the information that is displayed. And I just thought of one other thing I wanted to show you. I'll do that at towards the end. Okay, so the planning board. We want to look at how to read the planning board, some of the highlight options, the color options, the indicators, the drag and drop. I've done that one. Open and close periods. Oh, good. Actions, filters, things like that. So I want to explore with you, and you should have this printout, so I'm just going to kind of run through this. This is on page 8 is where I am on your study guide. So let's go back to the planning board. Here's my list of jobs. So I'm going to go back to the planning board. I just want to explore this a little bit with you to kind of give you a little more orientation, a little more detail about the information that's here. What you will find, quite frankly, by the end of this webinar is that you will practically know how to run this software, okay? Not that I can make you an expert in minutes, but I do contend that you'll learn pretty quickly how to move around and explore. So you just scroll. Okay, so here's how it lays out. On the left side is the groups. So this is like designers or CNC machines. So they're kind of grouped those together. And then the next column is the resource code itself. So we've got Ben is a designer, Doug's a designer, Rick's a designer, and these are the tasks that are in their queue here on the right side. So each of these, what I just call them stickers. This is like a sticker on a whiteboard. That is an indication of what that person is to do. The length of the sticker represents the duration of the individual task itself. Okay, so I think you get the timeline up here at the top. Do you see the timeline? So this is the time scale. So that's the time scale up there. I'm showing it currently in month, but if I want to go down to a week view, so now I can see the activities more in a kind of for a week at a time. And this will depend as far as what is appropriate for yourself, whether you're scheduling activities that only are 2 or 3 days in duration, or whether you're scheduling activities that might take a week to 2 weeks to complete. So it just depends how you and your business would use the individual software. So you simply set it. I think the day view gets down to hourly scheduling. I think that's a little excessive, but it's certainly available. And some of you maybe would go with the advanced mode and want to say, okay, I want to see maybe 3 months at a glance. And so you're doing long durations, August, September, October. So now I'm seeing 3 months at a glance rather than, a day at a glance. So this is all controlled with this time scale up here. Okay, so that's the first thing. You've also got the ability to go to next periods. So that'd be the next 3 months kind of thing, previous 3 months. Or if you go back to month view, so now next period is the next, next month. So that's how you kind of move around on that. Notice the stickers are in colors. Okay, let's talk just a little bit about the activity colors. So all these things are the activity colors. Right now it's by job. So the all the jobs, the purple jobs here are the same. So this is number 11, this is number 11. So that's why they're the same color, because they're the same job, and it makes it easy to spot them. The other way is by work type. So if I have any set, doesn't look like I do, but you could have certain types of work and then color code and display it by type of work. You could display it by who the customer is. If they're all the same customer, like they're all a Canon group, then it would display with that customer. Don't I have anybody other than Canon group? That would be typical. No, looks like they're all Canon group customers. And then the other one that's used quite often is this one called advanced delay. And this is pretty handy because this lets you see if a particular activity is late. And you want to be able to identify if an activity is late or on time or early. And you can see you've got red, orange, yellow, green, and dark green. The dark greens are good. Okay, so that means you're going to get done more than 10 days early. The light greens are still okay. You're on time. Yellows, you're getting a little bit close to the due date. And oranges and reds, obviously, you've got a real problem if you see a bunch of reds on your board. So again, the advanced delay lets you see what's going on. Donna says, I like the advanced delay. Very nice. Good. So if I got up, excellent. Thank you, Donna, for saying that. Yeah, the ability to see that shows up very nicely here. And along with this, there's this little bar over here called Indicators and Details. I don't know how my sample data is set right now, but I'm going to go into what's called Key Performance Indicators. Right now, I've got 7 jobs on my system, and as far as my service ratio is, I'm 58.82% on-time delivery. So there's probably some jobs that are late, and that's why it's impacting my delivery schedule. And here's the number of days and hours delayed. So I can see that directly from the indicators. Now you can also, this is kind of handy too, you can be on a sticker, and that's an activity, but let's go back to the job task. So what task is that? That's design work. I can click on it, and it's on this, and it's going to take me right back to my NAV view of that job task list. Okay, pretty handy. Same for if I was on the job, if I wanted to actually see this particular job, rather than having to go, I can't always go back here, but you can always just go right here. Here's the job code. This is 501006. So this is my 06 job. And it just immediately opens up my job card for me right here on this screen. Okay. So, and Corey, I want to unmute you. Are you on the call?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got.
Yep, I'm here.
I've got Corey on the call with me. He's also from Cost Control. Do you have any of the map links that you could show? If I passed you the mouse, could you? You got maybe from something from a service order? I did not check.
Yeah, it would be in a service order. Early, it would be around today's date, so the 12th or 13th. I added one.
Sorry, I didn't tell you ahead of time to check this. I'm going to see if there's...
Yeah, go back to August, about the 13th.
There's one.
Yeah, there's a service. Yep, there's one right there.
Okay, good, thank you. So what's Corey's done here is he's added a URL for a service call. This could be for a job site location as well. And you see here's map link. What this allows you to do is literally zoom in with a Bing map. Give it just a second to zoom in here. Hopefully this will work. Is that set? Job site 2. Come on. There we go. So it zooms into your map to show you the job site locations. Now this would apply obviously to those of you that have jobs out in the field where you're going to a customer's site and need to zoom into a specific location on a map and see where that job site is located. So that functionality is available with a very simple setting up the URL, this URL based on the address that you want to generate a map for. Okay, so that's available both for jobs and for service orders, although this isn't a class on service management, it's really on jobs. But I just wanted you to see that concept of maps. Thank you, Corey. Okay, let's stay on track here. Sorry, got a little bit off. Colors, the on-time indicators, the drag and drop, I've shown you that. Open, close periods, let me just give you a peek at that. So I'm going to go up here to, let's say for Doug. And Doug we've got either a machine breakdown or something's late, and Doug says, I can't get in there for 2 weeks. So we want to basically display on the timeline that Doug's not going to be available or a machine's not available. So there's an action button here to close a period. So I'm going to close from about 8:10 to maybe about 8:22. We'll close enough periods so that you can see it work. So I'm going to say from about 8:10 to 22, about that period of time. We'll add that close period in. I want you to see what that looks like. Oh, I put it on myself. That's okay. So I signed it to me rather than to Doug. But you see this pink area here? This indicates that this is a closed period and not available for work. And so it puts these boxes in red. I don't know if they're pretty small, but puts these stickers in red. So I would want to basically reassign some of these tasks to a different person or a different machine. So I'd want to do some moves, and then hopefully that will solve the problem so I don't have the red warning around these activities. So maybe this one gets moved down here to the Foundry, and then I solve that one too. So just indicating that we've got a closed period, or if you need to do more work, you can go the other way and say open a period. So this basically opens more hours over a weekend, for example, so that more work can be done, and it shortens then the duration of the activity because you have more available hours to get the job complete. So a couple little things there. Timescale actions, we can edit, you can create activities. By the way, you can, any given activity, you can edit it. That's kind of like a double click and it edits it. I can change the load. So if the scheduler says, oh, this is really only going to take 70 hours, the scheduler can come in and recalculate a new ending date based on their perception of where we are. You see that sticker just got a little bit shorter. So you have nice controls here, and then of course that change that the scheduler makes, when that's published, all these changes go back into NAV. So I want you to see the correlation between your NAV software and the scheduling board. There's one other I want to show you too in a second that I forgot to show you earlier. So those are some of the actions: the close periods, calculate end dates. I'm not going to cover that. I mentioned the filters, and there's one other, is the views. Oh, I've got that on page 9. Okay, so I got one more thing, and then I'm going to kind of go through some of the other views, because I've just shown you the resource Gantt view, but there's like the job Gantt view. I'll show you that in a second. Hang in. So I want to show you this before I forget, because I think this is one of the coolest things of the software. So I'm going to just pick this job because I know this is set up. So I'm going to pick job 09. I'm going to double click on that job, and I want you to see the relationship between the scheduling board and the job card. So hopefully many of you on the call are already familiar with the job card. Yours may look something similar to this. I've added a few more fields to my job card than maybe what you have on yours. I've added a few more choices up here like import CAD, estimating, scheduling. I've got, obviously more things on mine and fact boxes, but I've also, if I scroll down just a little bit, scroll down a little more, I've got the Gantt chart on the job card right here. Okay, here's the job card. You scroll down, here's the Gantt view of that job, and notice I've got the activity lines. It shows I go this one, then when this is finished, I go to this one. Can you see that? Let me get that a little bigger. So I'm going to change the row height up to medium. It's a little bigger for you. So it shows each of the activities. These are the activities that are on the tasks. And it shows the duration, and when that one's finished, then this one starts, and when that finished, the next one starts, and then this starts, and then that's the end of the job. So it finishes about the 15th. It starts about the 4th or 5th of the month. So you get to see, and the ones that are grayed out are the other jobs. And you can, guess what? You can do your moves here. So you, as the scheduler, you can just as easily come in and say, okay, well, this one that's on Foundry number 1, I'm going to move down to the grinding machine. So I'm just going to do a drag and drop. In fact, I'm going to drag and drop over just a little bit. Now I may turn that into red. See that went red? That means this one is not a fixed link. You can set these links so that if you move this one, if this gets delayed, then the other activity would also be delayed, and it's pushed out as well. So you can put a hard link between them, or you can leave them as more floating type links. That's all in the setup when you install the software. Really nice view of this Gantt chart right within the job card itself. Okay, and now everything I'm showing you here can be added to your software. Okay, understand that. Everything I'm showing you today can be added to your NAV installation. So if you think what you're seeing so far, and I'm not quite finished yet, but if you think what you've seen so far is pretty cool and you want to add this to your software, guess what? You just pick up the phone and you call me, or you send me an email and you say, Rick, I saw this webinar and I want a little more information, or I want my boss to see it because this is some pretty cool stuff. Okay, page 9. So go to page 9 in your handouts. And I want to talk about some of the bonus views that are available to you within the software. So the first one is the jobs view. So what this is, let's go to, I want you to see this in the live software. So I'm going to come back to the Planner 1 resource planner view. Let this open up on your screen. Here we go. So we've been in here. I don't need that. I don't need the indicators right now. Let's move them out of the way. Okay, so the view we're on is the resource Gantt view. Let me close this one. But there are more views. You saw the planner, the job planner view, where I created the activities, and you can cancel them here. I'm not going to do that, but you can cancel them. But there's the plus sign. When I say plus, this opens up a list of all the other views that are available. We're looking at the resource Gantt right now, but there's also a job Gantt. The advantage to the job Gantt is down the left side are your jobs, and you can very visually see the start dates and end dates. Let's go to a little different display level. Let's go to a month view. Actually, I'm even going to go higher than that. Let's go to a 3-month view. Okay, there you go. So now you can see all the different jobs, when they're starting, when they're stopping. So this is a big picture view of your jobs. And guess what? With the plus sign, you can hit the plus sign, and that will open up the individual tasks within that given job. How cool is that? So you can really see, here's the work I'm going to be doing. Now, by the way, these tasks where I've got design, foundry, and CNC, these probably aren't your tasks. So you're going to have a different set of operations. So just think in terms of what your list would look like, okay, versus what my sample is showing here. Okay, so those are the operations, and this is called the job Gantt View. And guess what? You could filter this, okay, by applying filters. You can even do an advanced filter and filter it, say, where the job person responsible probably is on here. Person responsible is equal to, and then you put in their name, okay? Or you could say where the job customer is equal to, and then you put in the customer name. So you can actually filter this list down to just the jobs that you are interested in seeing. So that's kind of cool stuff. Okay, let's look at another view. One's called the resource load. I don't go in here very often, but I'll show you this. Okay, so the resource load lets me see, let that come up on your screen. Okay, so this lets me see by group. So this is the designers, the foundry, and the installers, and you can see, and if there is an overload situation where you've got load greater than the capacity, it's going to put that in red. So I've got 125%, that's overloaded. This one's overloaded out here. There's some others where there's no problem. And you can sort this and look at it different ways. Just be aware that this is what we call our load chart. There's another one which is the resource sequence, which says, okay, for this individual, these are the operations or the descriptions that are they've got, and I'm able then to resequence them. I think I can. Oh, I guess I can't here. You can resequence them and make those reassignments. So you're seeing it in a little different view. You can export this to Excel and then give a printout to that individual so that they can actually see their particular tasks. Okay, and I'll close that one. And let's go open one more. There's two others that I want to kind of mention here. One is the calendar view. So the calendar view is nice because it puts it into like a wall calendar. So here I'm seeing it by week, but I could change it and show it by month. So this is my wall calendar view of my jobs and operations. And guess what? It certainly does synchronize to your Microsoft Outlook. So that's pretty cool as well. I won't have time to go through that, but if you want to see that, give either myself or Corey a call, and we'd be glad to show that to you. Okay, and then the last view I want to mention is this custom Gantt chart, where you can kind of come in and say, okay, I want to see my jobs by customer down the left side, and then my secondary is maybe by let's do it by the planning, group planning. See what that looks like. Probably not a great selection. Okay, so I've only got one customer in here, but this would be a whole list of all your customers and their jobs. So you're seeing a kind of a Gantt view by customer. The advantage to this is you define the X and Y axis in here. The main entity is the y-axis, so maybe task code down that way. Let's see what this looks like. So here we have the different tasks and when they're starting. So you get to define the tasks themselves, and as well as then all the jobs that have that particular task of 130 in it. So lots of ways to define the views, very user definable with this what's called the custom Gantt view. Okay, so I'm getting close to the top of the hour. I want to kind of summarize a couple last little things for you here. covered that. The calendar views, I did that. So a little quick summary on the software, and then I'll explain to you how you get access to the replay. It's all real time. It uses web services. So for the technical people out here, I'm using web services, which is great because now I can put this on a tablet. I can see it on an iPad, or I can have it on a browser somewhere, and being able to access it all through your Internet Explorer. So great use of web services, but I've been doing it with the embedded portion of it. I think you find it's quick and easy to use. At least I hope I've shown it to you. That was one of my goals at the beginning, to make sure that it's easy and to use, definitely understandable for as far as a graphical planning tool. It's fully integrated, so it works right out of the box. It's very simple to set this thing up. Okay, we do it in about 1 day, and you're up and going. Corey does the training, and about a day's worth of training, and you are up and going. It's really simple. There's no data replication. It just reads the data. The job manager customers, those of you that are using job managers, there are a few extra fields that are available to you that are not available in the base jobs granule. But either way, the whole software works great. The key to the functionality is that it's bi-directional. A lot of the scheduling tools are one direction. So this one's bi-directional. You can be a NAV, you can generate your jobs, you can adjust the jobs, and then publish them back. It's definitely a visualization. So think of this as a visualization of your schedule. It's for a scheduler and viewers. It lets you manage the schedule, all of that. The price. Everybody wants to know how much is this software? Well, if you don't have our catalog, I want you to download the product catalog from our website. Right on the front page of our website, there's a choice called Product Catalog, and this is listed in here with the 24 other add-on products that Cost Control Software has for Dynamics NAV. We do handle all of the sales, the installation, the setup, and certainly all of the training on the product as well. How you buy it, it's real simple. You just pick up the phone, you call us and say, I got to talk to you about the software I saw on the webinar today. We make it real easy for you to make the purchase. You can buy it through your reseller, or you can purchase direct from us if you don't have a reseller. And contact us and we can take care of that as well. So the next steps, pretty straightforward. We encourage you to set up a company-specific presentations. Okay, so let's get it so that for your company you actually see the software. Okay, now I'm going to put my contact information up here, and while I do, I'm going to tell you how you get access to the replay. It is has been recorded. In fact, I'm going to stop the recorder at this stage, so bear with me.